In the previous video, I promised you we would uncover a strange economic trap, a phenomenon known as the white elephant. Governments usually invest to improve economic growth and public welfare. But sometimes these seemingly luxurious and modern investments turn into a heavy financial burden that consumes a large portion of a country's development budget. This phenomenon is called the white elephant. But where does this strange term come from? It is said that in ancient times, the kings of Siam modern day, Thailand would gift a white elephant to anyone they disliked. The white elephant was considered sacred. Therefore, its owner could neither sell it nor put it to work. They were forced to spend enormous amounts of money just to feed and maintain it, until eventually it drained their wealth. Today, the same story is repeating itself, but on a billion-dollar scale and disguised as government projects. Stay with us to see how these white elephants have crippled economies, both on the football pitch and in the real world. The story of the kings of Siam might sound ancient, but in today's economic world, this trap repeats itself with the exact same formula: massive spending for near zero returns. Imagine a government pouring billions of dollars of national wealth into a massive project, like an ultra-modern airport in the middle of a deserted area, or a sky-high stadium that stays crowded for only a few weeks of the World Cup. On the surface, these projects are symbols of power, modernity, and development. Politicians pose for the cameras and cut ribbons. But once the dust of the grand opening settles and the fireworks fade, a bitter reality emerges. These modern white elephants do not generate a single cent in profit. Instead, their annual maintenance costs drain the country's budget. But why do governments keep doing this, knowing it's a losing game? How do economics and cost-benefit analysis fail so miserably here? There are three main psychological and economic factors behind this phenomenon that we are about to dissect. Monument syndrome. In political science and economics, this term describes rulers' obsession with megaprojects to immortalize their names. They want to build massive structures that will stand as their personal legacy for decades, even if the project lacks any economic viability. This syndrome triggers what is known as optimism bias, where officials, whether intentionally or out of ignorance, downplay the costs and heavily exaggerate the benefits just to ensure the project gets approved and started. The sunk cost fallacy: when billions of dollars are spent on a wrong project, officials inject billions more instead of stopping it. Their logic? They say, it's a waste to let all the money and reputation we've invested so far go to waste. Shutting it down now means admitting defeat. They completely ignore the fact that pumping more money only amplifies the scale of the disaster. The hidden business of contractors. Behind the scenes of these projects, a silent money printing machine runs for a select few. Mega projects provide the perfect environment for massive cash flows, lobbying, and skyrocketing profits for giant construction companies. In this structure, the real profit lies in the construction process and budget allocation, not in the future operation or profitability of the project. A contractor doesn't care if the airport has passengers. They've already made their money from building it. Imagine setting billions of dollars in cash on fire in the middle of a city square. It would be an act of pure madness, yet across the world, governments and politicians spend billions every year on projects that never live up to their promises, from Western democracies to centralized Eastern regimes. Wherever political ambition, national pride, or the dream of leaving a historical legacy overrides economic logic and real human need, a white elephant is born. And perhaps the most frightening part is that these projects almost always begin with one promise: if we build it, they will come. But history has repeatedly shown that it doesn't always work that way. Now, we begin our global journey from Asia, the land of mega projects that look like masterpieces on paper, but in reality became some of the most costly economic mistakes in the world. Our global journey kicks off in Asia, a continent that epitomizes mega projects that were masterpieces in theory, but disastrous in practice. Imagine building a city 4 times the size of London, but with only 1/10 of its population. Welcome to Naypyidaw, the capital of Myanmar. Officially, its name translates to the royal capital or abode of the king. Built from scratch in the early 2000s, this massive metropolis spans over 7,000 square kilometers. To put that into perspective, London covers around 1,570 square kilometers and packs in nearly 9 million people. Naypyidaw? It is a sprawling giant home to just about 900,000 residents. Located 320 kilometers north of the former bustling capital, Yangon, its hyper-modern infrastructure remains eerily underused. You can drive down jaw-dropping highways with up to 20 lanes with so little traffic. They look like the perfect place for a beginner's driving lesson. It is a megacity operating in near total silence, the ultimate modern white elephant. The disaster crippled 80% of government buildings, knocked out state television, and forced a total redesign of the shattered capital. Naypyidaw is no longer just an empty concrete dream. It stands as a textbook example of a miscalculated vanity project that the people never truly accepted. Let's travel together to Europe, the cradle of modern architecture, macro planning, and of course, some of the biggest miscalculations in history. A place where structures are sometimes built with astronomical government budgets, but at the end, their economic return is close to absolute zero. In the early 2000s, Spain was at the peak of its economic bubble. During this period, an ambitious idea was born, building an ultra-modern international airport with a budget exceeding 1.1 billion euros south of Madrid to serve as an auxiliary hub for the capital. A dream that, by connecting to the high-speed rail network AVE, was supposed to transport passengers to Madrid and Cordoba within 50 to 60 minutes, becoming Spain's first airport connected to high-speed rail. The bitter reality of the project. This billion-euro dream crashed very early due to a severe lack of strategic planning and its convergence with the financial crisis. The airport's operations lasted for only 3 years. In April 2012, after the low-cost airline operating there scrapped its final flight route, the airport's management company declared bankruptcy, and the lights of this megastructure went out. The airport plunged into absolute darkness and silence for 7 years until it reopened in September 2019. But this time, as a lifeless shell without even a single scheduled passenger flight. Gigantic facilities and infrastructure for nothing. Behind the closed lines of this airport lies an infrastructure that reveals the true depth of this calculative disaster even further: a runway for giants. The airport features a runway 4,100 meters long and 60 meters wide, making it one of the longest airport runways in Europe, a runway so massive that it was designed to accommodate the world's largest commercial aircraft, the Airbus A380. The Ghost Terminal. The passenger terminal was built with an initial capacity of 2 million passengers per year, with expansion plans capable of leaping up to 10 million passengers. Furthermore, its cargo section was prepared to handle 47,000 tons of cargo annually. A bridge to nowhere. As part of the expansion plan, a luxury 300-meter pedestrian bridge was built to connect the terminal to the Madrid Seville high-speed rail station. But here is the core of the matter. The construction of the station and the rail connection never even began, and this bridge practically became a highway leading to an absolute dead end. In the end, after years of uncertainty, legal battles, and unsuccessful attempts at revival, the fate of the airport was sealed in 2018, with its final sale to another infrastructure company for approximately 56 million euros, a figure that, compared to its original construction cost of around 1.1 billion euros, represented not just a typical transaction, but a symbolic confirmation of one of the most dramatic value collapses in modern infrastructure history, a loss of nearly 95% of its initial investment. What was once envisioned as a modern gateway for international air traffic ultimately became a case study in the gap between paper-based planning and economic reality. A project launched with promises of growth, jobs, and regional transformation ended up serving as a stark reminder of the risks behind megaprojects built without sufficient real-world demand. Yet even in its period of decline and abandonment, it briefly found an unexpected second life as a filming location and a car testing ground, as if an airport built for the skies was, for a time, searching for meaning on the ground. Our journey continues from Europe and now takes us to the heart of the Americas, where a massive project revealed the fine line between ambition and reality. Somewhere in the heart of South America, a red line was drawn on the map, a line meant to connect two oceans. A $2 billion project with one grand vision, the Interoceanic Highway, a 600-kilometer route from Brazil to Peru, stretching from the Atlantic to the Pacific, designed to shorten trade routes to Asia. But this ambitious route cut through one of the most fragile and untouched regions on Earth, the Amazon rainforest and the Andes Mountains. The main contractor was the Brazilian construction giant Odebrecht, a company later linked to one of the largest corruption scandals in Latin American history. But the outcome was the exact opposite of what had been promised. Instead of economic growth, the road became a gateway for illegal activity. Gold miners, loggers, and drug trafficking networks all gained access deep into the Amazon. What was once called the lungs of the earth slowly disappeared under expanding patches of deforestation, and the promised trade traffic never truly materialized as border costs and bureaucracy made the route effectively unusable. Today, this $2 billion highway is less a trade route and more a corridor for human trafficking and illegal extraction, a massive white elephant in the heart of the Americas, a place where progress and destruction moved along the very same line, an $840 million dream that left a nation buried under maintenance costs and looming debt maturities before it could even reach its destination. Travel to the heart of Africa, Nigeria. In 2018, a project was introduced that was supposed to be the symbol of the country's modern transportation, the Abuja Light Rail. On paper, everything was ambitious. A modern rail line with an $840 million investment designed to connect the capital city to the international airport. But behind the project lay a more complex financial reality. The Chinese engineering and construction giant CRCC, along with massive loans from China's Exim Bank, which set the stage for heavy repayment obligations in the years ahead. But very soon, this dream began to fall apart. While modern metro systems around the world operate at frequent intervals throughout the day, this network was initially served by only 3 diesel train sets, with a very limited number of daily services. With the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, even that limited number of trains came to a virtual standstill. The rail lines and stations remained unused for a long period. Yet, the high costs of maintaining this frozen infrastructure kept piling up, while the grace periods for the international loans were rapidly running out. At the same time, the lack of activity and sufficient oversight created other problems. Reports emerged of equipment theft and damage to parts of the stations. Stations that were meant to be a hub for connecting people had now, in some parts, turned into underutilized and abandoned spaces. An $840 million dream that left a nation trapped in maintenance fees and due loans before even reaching its destination. The Abuja Light Rail might be active again today, but in economic memory, it remains as one of the prime examples of expensive, debt-driven, and inefficient projects. From Asia to Europe, and the Amazon to Africa, we've journeyed through the world's most ambitious megaprojects. Monuments built to be symbols of progress that instead became economic white elephants. Massive projects with grand dreams and results that rarely lived up to the hype. Perhaps the most important lesson from this journey is that size doesn't guarantee success. Behind some of the world's most breathtaking structures lies a hidden reality of miscalculations, crushing debt, and missed opportunities. Thank you so much for watching and staying with us until the end. If you're fascinated by the dark side of the global economy, the secrets behind these colossal failures, and the stories that shape our world, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we still have many more untold stories left to share.